Hey guys, it's Sam with two M's, and welcome to this MYXclusive interview. Thank you everyone who is joining us right now. I hope you're all staying safe, staying healthy, and doing okay during this time. But in just a bit, I'll be having a very special guest who will be joining me. He is an incredibly talented singer-songwriter who released a song called Shouldn't Be back in 2019, but it's recently found new life and has grown even more and has garnered over millions of streams in the past few weeks across multiple platforms. So for today, we're going to be talking about that with him, but also how he's been, also, just kind of dealing with life, just like how we all been trying to deal with life. So everyone, please welcome to MYXclusive, Lucas Chiang.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Luke, for joining us.
Yeah.
It's great to have you, even though we are on different sides of the world. So right now, it's really great to have you. How have you been? How's life these days for you?
I've been all right. I just started school again recently.
Oh.
After like a year or so of online, it's really nice to get back in classrooms and meet people in person. Yeah.
Ooh, so you're back to face class over there.
Yeah.
Oh wow. How's that been like? I can't imagine, because back here it's like, still at home online and all of that. So for you guys, how is that like kind of like going back and like seeing
It's pretty
everyone?
surreal. I don't know. Sometimes I kind of pause and take a moment. I'm like, wait, this is like just like it used to be, before. Of course, like now that there's variants and everything, maybe in a few months it's gonna go back. But for now, I'm enjoying it. Just having actual professors in front of me and having actual classmates next to me it's really nice.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's like a little bit of a deja vu. It's like, hey, I've been here before.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
it's like new. It's like even more exciting too, because after being, of course, at home and then kind of going back out there, it's also really exciting, at least kind of moving forward in that way too. So it's really cool that you're able to experience that recently. But obviously, like in the past year and a half, like we've all had to deal with the pandemic and our own like personal like stuff too, right? So how has it been like in the past year and a half for you dealing with everything going on?
It's been tough, like for everybody else. I definitely felt like I was missing out on like deepening my friendships or just meeting people and building new relationships with people. Of course, I really wanted to record and make music. But it's kind of weird for me because at the start of the pandemic, everybody had this sort of like jarring like change, right? Of like everything shutting down immediately. For me, it wasn't really like that. But some people who follow me know that I haven't been making music for a while because of some vocal issues, just like health related, some reflux, some like issues with muscle tension here. And because of that, I had already like stopped going out pretty often because at that point in time it was more severe, so I couldn't really talk. So by the time everything was shut down, I was kind of used to like staying at home most of the time. For a while, I was okay with it, but I think like everybody else, I got sick of it pretty quickly. Of course, like online helps. There's things like Discord and there's group chats, but it's not the same.
That is true. Like I saw your post. You posted something like I think a year ago, almost like more than a year ago, or I think back in like May, about like how you had those vocal problems and like muscle tension. And I could imagine like on top of kind of dealing with the pandemic going on, you had to also deal with that, which was obviously a health issue. But like with health issues, that also kind of like kind of also spreads into like emotional stuff too, because obviously it deals with a lot of different things, right? So I can imagine too, especially because music has been one of your outlets too, and not being able to do that must have been really jarring for you too. But I'm happy to see you like being able to obviously talk with us here. So how has been the situation so far? Like, is it better now, or like where is it at now?
It's definitely better than it was a year or two ago. I think a part of that is definitely like emotional. I'm in like a much better mental state now, which helps, with stress, and stress affects physical health like 99% of the time. But I'm definitely able to talk more often. Singing is still more difficult, but I'm just kind of easing back into it. Yeah, I mean, it's funny that you say like it kind of sucks that like it happened at the same time as COVID, but in a
Mhm,
weird
mhm.
way, I'm grateful for that.
Yeah,
Because like if it had happened and everything was still going on, I probably would have felt that
mhm.
much worse, right? Like I could be performing right
Actually,
now and this venue is,
yeah.
there's so many people performing, but yeah, so in a
Mhm.
weird way, it's like good timing that it's happening now and not later.
Yeah, that's actually true. It's all about perspective.
Mhm.
If you really like think about it too, like that is so true. Now that you kind of like put it in that way, I can totally understand how it actually. I mean, obviously it sucks, but like obviously,
Mhm.
like there's still it's like silver lining when it
Mhm.
comes to stuff like that. So it's really cool that you're better now, and also kind of slowly easing back into obviously talking, but also music as well. But during that time, like, what were the things that you kind of did to kind of keep yourself in check? You know how we all had like, especially like during COVID, we all had our
Yeah,
own like ways and how to like deal
yeah,
with
for sure.
everything going on. So, what was your like main thing that you kind of kept you like sane?
I started drawing more. I used to
Oh,
draw a
yeah.
lot as a kid, and I took lessons.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't ever like super good at it, but
Mm-hmm.
um, just like doodles
Mm-hmm.
and sketchbook stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
started to make some clothes. Not anything fancy, just kind of
Mm-hmm.
slapping those illustrated designs onto like tees and totes and seeing where
Mm-hmm.
that goes. Over the summer, I did a little tote drop and I sold a few.
Ooh.
But yeah, I guess that's a bit of like a side hustle, side hobby, but that's something
Mm-hmm.
that's kept me sane.
Yeah, for sure. We've all kind of had to have that one like thing, like outlet that kind of we poured our like kind of like a passion thing that we kind of also had to find in
Right,
this
yeah.
time. So it's cool that you were able to kind of zone in on that too. But we were talking a while ago before we started this interview, and we were talking about how, yeah, like you had those vocal problems, right? But despite
hmm
that, like your music was still growing and people were listening to it even more. So how is it for you kind of like wrapping your mind around that? Like your music is growing every day until now, like getting millions of streams like all around the world, especially where I'm from in Southeast Asia. Like people are really listening to, of course, your song "Should It Be."
hmm
So how has that been? Like wrapping your mind around that?
I honestly still think that like I haven't ever like fully processed it. Like
Yeah.
just like imagining the sheer like number
Mhm,
of people, like actual people behind every listen is like really
mhm,
crazy to me. I can't even like
mhm,
picture that in my head.
mhm,
But yeah, it's a little weird because um, I guess conflicting is the right word because
mhm,
on one hand, I'm very grateful and I'm very excited to see the
mhm,
growth. And on another hand, it's like, oh, there's so many new, there's so much momentum right now, but I can't capitalize on it because of my
mhm,
situation. So
mhm,
it's kind of like two different parts of me are constantly like fighting each other in regards to that. But
mhm.
you know, in the end, I know that I am extremely blessed to be in this
Mhm,
position.
mhm,
I mean, I never had a manager, I never had a team. I
mhm,
obviously don't have like music videos or anything. So
mhm.
to see that people are still willing to keep listening and keep supporting is really really awesome.
Yeah, I mean that is crazy. I can imagine too, like what you said, like behind each listen, there's like a person, and it's like millions
Mhm.
of streams now, right? Like I don't even know a million people personally, so that is like a lot of people if you
Yeah.
really think about it. So it must be really hard to wrap your head around it, but it's such an amazing
Mhm.
thing because obviously music is an extension of the self, right? And like something that you really put your heart into. So it's cool that people are able to connect with it even all around the world. So I'm just like really curious, Luke, too. Like you said, like music is one of your outlets too. So how did you actually get started with music? Like what made you want to put out your music out there?
Yeah. So I've had music in my family my whole life. My
Mm-hmm,
mom's a piano teacher.
mm-hmm,
My dad is just really into like classical and jazz, and I've been
mm-hmm,
listening to that in the house since growing up.
mm-hmm.
Um, I started singing when I was like in elementary school. I was in a little boys choir. Um,
Aw.
yeah, and picked up a guitar in middle school, and that's when I started messing around. And then
Mm-hmm.
around high school, I had my first breakup, and that's when I
Oh,
was like,
there you go.
I need to do something here. I need to write.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's kind of when I started actually writing songs, and those like 3 to 4 songs are actually like the ones that I have out right now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. That's so cool. Like those were like the first few songs that you wrote, and I love the
Mhm.
songs. Like I told you a while ago, like I'm a huge fan. I love your music,
I
and that's
appreciate it.
so cool. I love that that was what you started with. But you
Mhm.
said you've had music in your life like ever since you were young, being like your mom being a piano teacher. So I'm curious, like what do your parents think of your music? Like are they like big fans? Like do they
Yeah,
love how
they're
it
my biggest
sounds?
supporters for sure.
Oh,
They
I
definitely they
love
check my
that.
numbers way more than I do. It's pretty funny.
Oh.
I kind of stopped checking for a while because I was like, well, I'm gonna get a text
Mhm,
from my mom about this anyways. So,
mhm,
but
mhm,
yeah, my mom and my dad listen to my music all the time.
mhm. Oh, I love that.
Hmm.
Shout out to your parents
Yeah, for sure.
for being so supportive of your music, and it's just
Hmm.
growing every day, like we keep saying, which is such an amazing thing. Because you know you kind of just put it out there that just kind of has a life of its
Hmm.
own. Like shouldn't be is just just really getting so many plays, especially here in Southeast Asia and the Philippines too. So let's talk more actually about Shouldn't Be, which is one of the first few songs, right, that you wrote. So where did you actually get the idea for the song and like what really inspired this song?
Oh man, I haven't thought about this in a long time, but
Let's backtrack a
um,
bit.
yeah, it's kind of the idea of like looking back on a relationship
Mhm.
and
Mm.
one that ended like relatively abruptly, and just thinking like
Mhm.
um, a lot of the words that this other person said to me
Mhm.
don't seem valid now because it was so easy for
Mhm.
them to drop what we had, and that's kind of
Yeah.
the this focal point of the song.
Mhm. I love that. I feel like a lot of people can relate to that too, because like,
Hmm.
I mean, for people who have had breakups in the past, it's all really like why, how, like especially
Yeah,
abrupt ones. I totally
yeah.
understand. Like, oh my god, like it shouldn't be like this. Which I feel like a lot of people can really relate to, especially nowadays too. Any kind of heartbreak now, is even like 100 times more magnified because of
Hmm.
the situation too. So I feel like a lot of people are resonating even more with the song. So for you, Lou, like what was it like creating this song? Like what was it like creating it like sonically too? Because especially like it has a very like very groovy kind of like
Yeah.
song. Sonic. It's very sonically groovy. So what was it like creating the sound for this song?
It was a lot of fun. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I love music, so just
Mm-hmm.
any chance that I get to make it.
Mm-hmm.
I love writing lyrics too, so
Mm-hmm.
being able to pair that and just pairing it with sounds in my head,
Mm-hmm.
taking inspiration from my favorite artists, so from whatever R&B and soul pop
Mm-hmm.
sphere that they're
Mm-hmm.
in. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's just it's really fun. I enjoy it a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I have a couple friends that help on a few of the songs, or helped on a few of the songs. One of
Mm-hmm.
them drummed for me. One of them played bass for me on a few songs,
Mm-hmm.
and just creating with them is also one of my favorite memories.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I really love being in the studio. It's just I don't really know how to explain it, but there's a certain like energy in the air when
Mm-hmm.
you know you're creating something special and you're having fun
Mm-hmm.
while doing it. That I think that's like the best feeling in the world.
That's so true. And I think it really like reflects you in the music. Like people can really feel like the real emotion and how much fun you actually have creating
Mm.
it. But what I really liked about Shouldn't Be is like, it's like a little bit sad. I mean, like obviously the story where it came from, but it feels like something you would dance to at a wedding. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Like it's like, even though it's kind of sad, it makes you want to like kind of like vibe too. I mean, being sad is
Yeah.
a vibe. I mean, why not? So I really love this song and like where you kind of and how you kind of like created it
Mm.
too. And what's your process really like? So you mentioned like you kind of match sounds, also words and stuff. So
Mm.
how is it like when you create music? Like, can you take us through like the whole process of how you create music?
It's very spontaneous.
Oh.
Generally, it just starts with
Mm-hmm.
like a random lyric or sound that pops into my head.
Mm-hmm.
I used to, when I was writing these songs, I was in high
Mm-hmm.
school, senior year. So what I would do is like, something popped into my head. I didn't want to
Yeah.
lose it. I would like go on a bathroom break and like speak into my microphone to like keep the idea. But yeah, I would start with that, and then
Mm-hmm.
usually I'll just build on it with either guitar or piano at first. Just play chords,
Mm-hmm.
mess around, and then find a melody that works and just go from there.
Ooh, I can only imagine what your voice notes look like.
It's really messy.
Right? Like with random sounds, maybe random words too,
Yeah.
and kind of I can only imagine what that's like. But it's so cool. You're able to turn all of that into obviously beautiful songs that you're able to share with everyone. So to everyone who's watching, if you haven't checked out Luke's music, make sure to do so. It's available on multiple digital streaming platforms, and you guys will, get the vibe from all of that. But I'm curious, Luke, with music too, I'm sure you learned a lot about yourself too when, creating music, and maybe a lot of new things about yourself. So what was the biggest thing you learned about yourself when, you started making music?
Just this affirmation that this is what I want to do, from the bottom of my heart. I don't think I ever had something that I set my mind on and I was like, I'd love to do this for the rest of my life until then. But as soon as I was recording those songs and releasing them and creating with friends, I was like, yeah, this is 100% what I want to do.
Ooh, and I love that you kind of just ran with it too, and it's really what you're doing. We can't wait, obviously, for when you get to ease yourself back into making music. So how's it been? Do you have certain plans too when it comes to making music nowadays? How has it been? Everything that you want to do with music.
I'm just trying to ease back into it, like you said. I've tried a lot of different, treatments for my voice and my stomach issues. But yeah, I'm not really stressing over it at the moment. I think I'm finally in a place where I'm just happy where I am at the moment. I'm not so caught up with man, I gotta release, I gotta get better. Just kind of, taking it easy for a bit. But I definitely want to still make music as soon as I can. I'm just not putting as much pressure on myself to get better as I was then.
No, yeah, and I feel like that is not everyone has that kind of perspective too. You know what I mean? A lot of people will feel pressured, especially with with the streams growing and all of that. But for you, kind of focusing really on yourself, I think is such an amazing thing, and it inspires me to kind of not feel as pressured too with everything that's been going on in the world, because it's so easy nowadays to really feel that kind of pressure. But look, keep doing your thing. Take care of yourself. Obviously, your voice too, because you have such an amazing voice, and we can't wait until you get to really ease back into music too. But for now, obviously, take care of your health. Well, I sound like a mom, but I truly mean it. I really mean it, because
thank you.
Obviously, that's the most important thing right now. But before I do let you go, Luke, do you have a message to everyone who's been streaming your songs? Everyone, especially in the Philippines, who loves your music and can't wait till the day that you're able to come here and play for us too in the future.
I love you guys. That's very stereotypical, but I really do. I appreciate you lots. You guys. You have no obligation to keep listening or to share my music, but you do it anyways, and that means the world to me. So thank you.
There you go, guys. And make sure to, of course, listen to Luke's music. It's available on multiple digital streaming platforms. I swear you guys will not regret it. But thank you so much, Luke, for joining us here on Mix.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you as well. And thank you to everyone who tuned into this MYXclusive interview. Once again, this has been Sam with 2 M's and Luke Chiang.